Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. It is your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any of our platforms. Please reach out to me directly. I am tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today, we're discussing a watch that is compact and packed for maximum impact. This, launched in 2000, is the Blancpain Leman Tourbillon Perpetual Calendar 8-Day. And when it bowed in Y2K, this was the first ever 8-day tourbillon perpetual calendar, and it's a flying tourbillon on top of all that. It's also beautifully sized in white gold at 38 millimeters in diameter, 12.1 millimeters thick, and from lug tip to lug tip, 43.3 millimeters with a 20 millimeter spacing in between the lugs. A wrist as small as 13.5 centimeters circumference can easily wear this watch, as the size is universal. You can see on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, even when viewed from over the top, which makes lugs look broader than they are, you could see these lugs are nowhere near the edge of my wrist. And down the barrel, you can really see how well this watch centers up and fits. I could recommend this for him, for her. It's a unisex option. It's fairly flat with a sloped case flank. It will slide under a cuff. It's definitely something that could be your dress watch, but you're going to learn soon, it's also very much your sports watch. Now we have a large rectangular scale, symmetrical scale alligator leather strap, so large symmetrical rectangular scale. Expensive cut of the material. It's what you want on a watch like this. You can see sheer cut sides, a monotone stitch, and on the bottom we have inlaid rubber to help isolate the leather from the sweat, heat, oil, and moisture of your wrist. We have a white gold folding clasp, and you can see that the way this works is that the strap tucks in, it tucks through this little hole, then it pins on the pin, and once it's sized down, all the excess length hides underneath the clasp and the strap body, so you don't have any excess length visible, but you also don't need minder loops on the strap itself, so it's a very clean look. Now, when I talk about this being a sports watch, I'm talking about three things specifically. 1, automatic winding. 2, a screw-down crown and 80-meter water resistance. And 3, luminescence. So let me demonstrate the luminescence right now. While the complications themselves are not legible, the hours and the minutes are. Now, you heard that right, 80-meter water resistance, so on an appropriate strap, you can actually take this swimming. The case design is familiar to Blancpain fans, as we've seen a similar profile used on everything from the Villeray high dress watches to the 50 Fathoms dive watches, and all of that is in evidence. We have these little teardrop profile lugs that jut out from the case. There's a firm crease between case band and lug profile. Blancpain branding. We have little push adjusters to help you adjust the calendar. We have a branded crown, a double gadroon that is double domed bezel, and then this is gray gold, which is an 18-karat white gold that's white all the way through and never needs to be rhodium plated. It's the good stuff. It's what you would want on a watch of this stature. The dial is black lacquer, and you can see there's a lot going on. We have skeletonized hands for hours and minutes, so you can read the sub-dials. You can see they're a little pyramid faceted. White gold applique indices. We have sub-registers for the date, the day, the month. There's a little aperture for the leap year phase. Power reserve indicator over at about 4 o'clock. And you can see we have 8 days of power reserve. Up at the top, we have a polished steel flying tourbillon. It's a flying tourbillon because there is no upper bridge to block your view of it. And this type of tourbillon was created in the 1920s in East Germany by watchmaker Alfred Hellwig, but this specific flying tourbillon in the Blancpain was created in the late 80s by independent watchmaker Vincent Calabrese on commission for Blancpain. So we have a little bit of AHCI independent watchmaking cool that goes into this timepiece. So you've got a flying tourbillon, a perpetual calendar, 8 days of power reserve with an indicator, and on the reverse side you can see that the movement that creates all of this complexity and drives the indications, it's just as beautiful as the dial side. We have a screwed-in case back to give extra hermeticity. It is an absolutely spectacular caliber 5625, and it starts spectacular and becomes more so. As you can see, the rotor itself has been hand skeletonized, internally beveled, and then freehand engraved with a burin, so no two of these white gold rotors are exactly the same. How much do you love the beveling on the edge of the Blancpain logo and the satination across the top? Now, the bevels are world-class, and you can see in some cases where bridges are doubled up, the mirrored bevels are actually stacked. We have 1, 2, 3 from the underlying bridge for the tourbillon to the rotor bridge just below the winding rotor. And then we have black polished screws. You can see there's engine turned perlage. Although we don't have a lot of Côte de Genève, you can see they've been laid down on the winding bridge. We have solarization for the ratchet wheel and the crown wheel core, a black polished click and click spring satination on all the wheels with internal beveling. And then we even have polished locating pins. You can see these little pins, these little pin heads on the winding bridge. Those are pins that are used to help locate bridges on plates or bridges beneath. And so you can see those pins have been polished on their top, and the same is true for the click pins that hold it in place. The engine turning is of high grade. All the screw heads are black polished with chamfered slots in circumference. This watch is simply surpassing in its beauty. A truly special machine. This movement beats away at 3 Hertz or 6 beats per second, pivots on 29 joules, and it is decorated by hand in every regard, plus adjusted in a chronometer and high horology style 5 positions. It leaves nothing to be desired. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.